Hey guys, I already did 2 videos about the Fulcrum stuff, so I thought I'm gonna do a third one. And this time I'm gonna talk about the reverse shield Infernal Blow build that I did, but the build itself was not great for the endgame. It wasn't really good for bossing. It was pleasant for map clear. So instead I want to talk more about the Fulcrum and the other discoveries that we found, all the methods of reverse shilling, a new way of reverse shilling with the Hydrosphere, because Hydrosphere by default cannot be chilled, but there is a trick of how to get reverse shield on yourself, and by reverse I mean I'm talking about the reverse shield ring, which reverses the effect of chill. Instead of slowing you down, it's speeding you up. So I'm gonna talk about the reverse shield. I'm gonna talk about ways of using Fulcrum stuff, how to self-freeze. I already talked about that, but I wanted to mention a couple other things that I didn't mention in my previous video, and also in general talk about this build, I guess, just briefly. So I'm probably gonna start with different ways of reverse shilling. So normally when you're playing reverse shield build, you want to chill enemies, and with the Fulcrum stuff it's very easy to reverse all elements from enemies back to you, but I already talked about that. I don't want to go too deep into this, but you want to be unaffected by ignite. If you want to maximize the benefits of the Fulcrum stuff, you want to be unaffected by ignites, not immune. Immune doesn't work. You want to be unaffected by ignites, unaffected by shock, and then immune to freeze, which you get on boots, cannot be frozen, or use Calm's roots, otherwise you're gonna freeze yourself. And then you want to be able to be chilled, so you you don't want to use like Winter's Heart. You're gonna be maximizing the action speed that you get from reverse shield. You're also gonna use a Hotheaded and a replica Hotheaded. So normal Hotheaded gives you movement speed, attack speed, and gas speed while ignited, and a replica gives the same but while chilled. So you can combine both of these together while playing with the Fulcrum. This was the idea, to be very fast, get action speed, get the Hotheaded, get a replica Hotheaded, and when I chill and ignite, I just get turbo speed. This is actually a pretty fast build, and it does have pretty decent clear speed, but the bossing was just not pleasant, so I just use it for clearing maps, clearing a bit of Harbinger, farming a bit of Harvest, and mainly farming tier 10s, but then later switch to tier 14, farming Harbinger. And yeah, that's one way of getting reverse shield on yourself with the Fulcrum staff. Now if you do not want to use Fulcrum staff, there is another way, which is Icefang Orbit ring and combined with the golden rule. Basically all you have to do is hit enemy, poison enemy. The Icefang Orbit already has chance to poison enemies, so for that you just need to have chaos or physical damage, and then the golden rule will reflect the poison back to you, and while you are poisoned you are chilled. And the chill from Icefang Orbit is 10% action speed. You can scale that 10% with increased chill effect or increased non-damaging element effect, but like for each 10% increased effect of chill, you're only gonna get 1% action speed, because you're scaling that 10% base speed. So it would require like 200% increased chill effect to reach 30% action speed. One issue is that with the Icefang Orbit and golden rule is that, I mean, your poison may actually be very strong, especially if you're using exploded body armor, physical exploded body armor. The poisons that you reflect back to yourself are gonna be very strong. So you can actually use more of Conquest helmet, then you are gonna be unaffected by poison. There is a potion side as well, I can't remember which one, but I guess you can use that. Usually it's not too expensive. But then again, do you really need that 10% action speed? And then you sacrifice a ring slot and then another jewel and then possibly a helmet? Probably not. So I don't think that it's really worth using Icefang Orbit in the end. Now a third way of reverse shield, and I actually just found out this yesterday. I believe a person called 77XO or maybe 77X0 from Twitch chat told me about this. I actually didn't really think that it would work, because why would it? So Maligaro's Restraint. This is a very old school item back when shock would scale with the shock duration would scale with the hit damage, and you could get like very long shock duration, and you could actually proliferate that shock back from yourself. So when you use Maligaro's Restraint, the shocks are reflected back to you. If you're using Inpulsa, obviously you're not gonna be affected by those shocks, so it doesn't matter. But you can proliferate that shock. If you let's say if I were to use Infernal Blow with elemental proliferation, I would proliferate that shock back to myself. Sorry, I would reflect the shock back to myself and then proliferate that shock to enemies without even hitting them. Now, the trick with that, normally Hydrosphere, you cannot chill Hydrosphere. It can be frozen and it can be shocked. However, you can actually chill yourself with the Hydrosphere and Maligaro's Restraint by using Cold Conduction node. Enemies chilled by your hit are shocked, and enemies shocked by your hit are chilled. It is actually easier to show than to explain how everything works, because it's kind of hard to imagine in your head. So here's what you do. Boom. You're chilled, you're shocked. And all you need to do, and you can see I'm becoming fast because I'm still wearing my reverse shield ring. So that's the third way of doing reverse shield, I guess. And I don't know if there are any more ways of reverse shielding yourself. So Maligaro's Restraint normally is pretty bad build, but with this it can actually be pretty interesting. 60% increased damage while shocked, and you would be shocked all the time if you're hitting with lightning and critting. Then you also get increased movement speed while shocked. Unaffected by shock, Inpulsa doesn't really matter. You're not even taking increased damage while shocked, so that also works. The increased shock duration on you doesn't work. So you're getting increased damage, you're getting movement speed, you're getting some lightning damage to attacks, and a tiny bit of energy shield. Is that good enough to replace a typical build? I don't know, but if you like scaling a lot of things with reverse shield, it could be really handy. And you are getting maximum action speed. You see, 30% action speed. For the bosses, you would still have to hit hard enough with cold to be applying maximum chill. But with Hydrosphere, you drop Hydrosphere, you actually have to hit it directly. The Ancestral Call and the Strike Gloves are not gonna work. I do have Strike Gloves and I do have Tribal Fury, but it doesn't target it automatically. So you have to actually hit the Hydrosphere. You can actually hit with spells as well. You don't have to hit with melee or with attacks. So, and from this I want to transition into another thing. One more thing about the self-freeze build. Now, if I use Hydrosphere and hit with Fulcrum, I freeze myself because I crit and I froze myself. I freeze myself for like 7 seconds. If I use Calm's Ruse, obviously I will not be completely frozen and I can still move, but I do not get chilled. I mean, I do get chilled, but I do not get action speed. And I'm not wearing Winter's Heart, so I can be chilled. When you are frozen, you are also chilled. But one thing is, you can hit Hydrosphere to self-freeze yourself, which is amazing. You do that and you can benefit from Winter's Heart and get massive regen. So you don't need to try to freeze bosses. Just create the Hydrosphere. And I was thinking of some kind of way to automate the Hydrosphere with like cast damage taken, and also another spell to automatically hit Hydrosphere and proc the freeze and then proc the regen while frozen, and also like combined Barracks grip ring, which does give 5000 armor while frozen. Sorry, Barracks pass while frozen, and you can also increase that with Catalyst up to 6000, I believe. And one more thing about this self freeze is that if you got freeze proliferation and hit Hydrosphere, you will not proliferate that freeze from yourself. I talked about in the last video about the self freezing build. And after that I discovered that you can actually hit the Hydrosphere and freeze yourself very easily. But you cannot proliferate freeze. Normally you can proliferate freeze if you are hitting enemies. But the Hydrosphere blocks all proliferation. So you cannot use Hydrosphere to proliferate freeze and then just run through enemies, freezing everything including bosses. So those are the methods of self-chilling and self-freezing. So I'm gonna quickly go over what I have, and yeah, just finish with that. So the Fulcrum Staff, it's easier to get 6 red colors on the Fulcrum Staff, so I linked the Fulcrum Staff. I need Inpulsa to be unaffected by shock. This is Chieftain to be unaffected by ignites, otherwise I would kill myself to ignites. I got Assassin's Mark on hit ring, reverse shield ring, Winterweave. The gloves I crafted myself. It took a long time to craft these, and it actually is kind of expensive. You don't need like spike gloves. It can be any gloves with accuracy, +1 strike targets, and then life. And then if you can get resistance, it's great. Boots cannot be frozen boots. It's a bench craft for 1 Exile. So make sure you are using that bench craft on like really decent boots. And I wanted to increase effect of non-damaging ailments to be able to freeze and chill bigger bosses more reliably. Otherwise, against bosses, you just get like 8 action speed, 12 action speed. On the helmet, I was also trying to get I was trying to get more chill effect on the helmet as well. But accuracy, life, resistances, and if you can get helmet enchantment. Belt, elemental damage from attack skills, life, resistances, nothing too special. Amulet, Anoint, Tribal Fury. You can also get elevated +2 to strike targets on gloves if you are rich. Now Amulet, again, accuracy is very important. And then again, life, if you can get resistances, dexterity if you need. If you're doing the Fulcrum, you can chill yourself by hitting Hydrosphere. That's why you kind of need to get increased effect of non-damaging elements to be able to get maximum chill. Wall mapping is not gonna be an issue, but once you meet some tougher bosses, even map bosses can be a bit annoying. You can actually use Witting Jar. Witting Jar, get chill, your max action speed. Sorry, can I show that again? I did not chill. Can you believe that? I did not chill. I'm not teleporting back, but you can use Witting Jar, that's why I'm carrying it. Then I also got Diamond Flask for lucky crits, some mitigation from Granite. I do have Fortify. Talking about links, Infernal Blow linked to elemental damage of attacks, Fortify, melee damage, multi-strike, and Awakened Melee Splash. Awakened Melee Splash is extremely cheap, like 5 years, so get that instead of normal Melee Splash. And I do swap to Rootless instead of Awakened Melee Splash. Rootless, basically every fair hit is gonna proc a massive chill, and that's why Rootless. Infernal Blow does not have a lot of cold damage, since 60%. Okay, the conversion from Fulcrum is just kind of annoying to explain, but ideally you would want 50% physical converted to cold, 50% converted to lighting, and 0% converted to fire on Fulcrum. Because you're already getting 60% conversion from physical to fire from Infernal Blow, which takes priority. So the remaining 40% is kind of scaled down. Because this is Chieftain, I'm getting another 50% conversion to fire. So any extra conversion to fire from this staff is gonna basically reduce the amount of cold and lighting that you're dealing. So that's why you want to get very low fire damage on the staff. And just get as much cold and lighting at the same time. Next I got Cold Snap linked with Bone Chill and cast when damage taken leaves them to move, cast when damage, another cast when damage taken with like Blood Rage, Wave of Conviction, and Immortal Cold. This is to trigger exposure. It may not be consistent exposure because the damage on Wave of Conviction changes, like sometimes you get more fire damage, sometimes you get more cold lighting because of the staff. While you are ignited, you are gaining physical damage as extra element, random element. So sometimes you can apply one exposure, sometimes the other, so it's very inconsistent, but it does help a bit. Then for the auras I got a Hatred. Precision needs to be not necessarily maxed, and then Enlighten and Herald of Ash. Now in the boots I got Ancestral War Chief. While Ancestral War Chief, this is mainly for bossing. Intimidating Cry, I only mainly use that to apply Intimidate on enemies, and also you kind of need to use that to proc Chieftain's passive Endurance Charge generation. And that's why I also got cast when damage taken Immortal Call, a bit higher level, not level 1. So when I take the damage while I have Endurance Charges, I will proc this one, and I will gain 15% more damage if you have lost Endurance Charge recently. That's why Immortal Call consumes Endurance Charges, and that's why I am using that to gain that, automate that 15% more damage. Yeah, and then the passive 3, as you can see, like I said, Hotheaded, and then replica Hotheaded, Watcher's Eye. I'm gonna put the path of building import code in the description as always if you want to take a look at this build in more details. One more thing I skipped kind of, the DPS of this Infernal Blow. In path of building it shows 1.4 million DPS with the melee hit, and then explosions do another 1.2 million average hit damage. So the explosions do a lot of damage, but in practice it just doesn't seem to work that well. It does take more than, it's like 1.5 seconds to stack 6 stacks, and then you get 1.2 million boom damage. So it's alright, but in practice it's not that great actually. That's gonna be it. Next video will be about the Ethereal Knives Inquisitor with Fanaticism. And for now, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.